Today's entry in the Best Team series is probably going to shock you, because we're bringing you the best team for electric types. As has been the case every week for a little while now, the beloved Best Team series is back with a new type. Remember, the biggest rule here is that a Pokemon never appears more than once on one of these best teams. If you don't see Stunfisk on this team, there's a chance you'll see it on the best team for ground types, and that goes the same for any other electric types as a secondary typing attached. A big thing to mention for all you to keep in mind, as always, that these typing teams should be viewed more as theme teams to have decent fun with, rather than something you should bring into the monotype tier. So with that being said, let's zap right into this electric type team. As we have become accustomed to doing, we're going to be leading off this team with our Mega Evolution, Manectric. Much like last week with the Ice-type Best team, I didn't have much of an option here as there were only 2 Mega Evolutions that carry the electric typing in any capacity. Mega Ampharos is a solid Pokemon, but its weaknesses, the Dragon and Fairy, made it not worth including on this team. It is all good, however, as Mega Manectric is honestly the better Pokemon anyway. It's got tremendous special attack and speed, which are both at base 135, and its ability Intimidate lowers the opposing Pokemon's attack by a stage. All in all, the pros of including Manectric as the best Mega far outweigh those of bringing in Ampharos. Like I just mentioned, Manectric has some fantastic speed and special attack stats. However, the rest of its stats aren't all that spectacular. It's honestly got an awful HP stat at 70 base, and a pair of disappointing defenses with 80 base each. Mega Manectric is essentially a glass cannon in its own right, but it might just be one of the best with that title. If it's not obvious yet, I put the 252 EVs in the special attack and another 252 in the speed, bringing their stats up to 369 and 405 respectively. With Intimidate, the opportunity for physical attacks to not harm Manectric as much as present. But like I said, this Pokemon is a top tier glass cannon, so don't expect it to really get you many sweeps unless you're in a perfect situation. Manectric has a moveset that leads off of Discharge, Volt Switch, Flamethrower, and Hidden Power Ice. Discharge is the big stab move here, and one you'll see repeat in movesets later on in the team. Discharge felt to me as the better choice when compared to Thunderbolt for most Pokemon on the team, as it not only has a 30% chance to paralyze the opponent, but also hits all Pokemon in double battles. When it comes to this team, you will not have to worry too much about any damage that'll be done to your other Pokemon, as it'll be resisted thanks to the electric typing regardless. Thunderbolt has a 10% chance to paralyze and a 90 base power, which is 10 points better than Discharge's 80, but that just isn't enough of a power boost to make it worth taking a 20% chance lower of causing paralysis. A 30% chance to slow down the opponent even more, and 120 base power following the stab boost makes Discharge Manectric's favorite move. Volt Switch is the next move, and this is also featured on several Pokemon on this team. The opportunity to switch out and into something that might fare against an opponent better, while also doing some possibly good damage, is a really fantastic move that should be taken advantage of. On top of such a great move to increase your battle options, Volt Switch has a modest 70 base power that's boosted to 105 of stab. After it connects, you're going to be switching out to a different Pokemon on your team, and in this case, it is probably best to use this when Mega Manectric is on the verge of being defeated, or is up against something you're worried that it might not outspeed. Flamethrower follows next, and it's there for a very general sense of coverage. It's got 90 base power and a 10% chance to burn, which makes it one of the better general moves Manectric can get. It's going to hit the grass types that resist electric attacks, and steel types as well. Finally, there's Hidden Power Ice, which will hit for super effective damage against the only thing that can do super effective damage against Manectric, ground type. This is really the only time you'd probably want to use Hidden Power Ice, as it does not have a lot of purpose as a general attacking move. Manectric is all put together to act as a massive weapon that is going to give you an opportunity to win any match regardless of your skill level in Pokemon battles. Next up, we're going to get the first appearance of legendary bird on one of these best teams, Zapdos. Arguably the best of the group, Zapdos is definitely of a higher quality than most other electric type Pokemon, and choosing it to be on this team was a no-brainer. Zapdos is yet another great special attacker, and I naturally wanted to take advantage of that. In the case of using Zapdos, I was looking to turn it into a bulky special attacker, a Pokemon that of course takes a few hits and is able to dish out damage right back. Zapdos doesn't exactly have amazing defenses, but they're not the most bottom of the barrel either. 90 in defense and 95 in special defense, they come out to 206 and 217 respectively. From there, if you really want in bulk, you're going to need to focus on boosting the 90 base HP. I gave 252 EVs to both the HP stat and special attack stat, adding in the modest nature as well to bring it out to 384 HP and 383 special attack. Also, for as much as I'd love to include it, this Zapdos has pressure instead of static. I'm doing everything in my power to keep event exclusive moves and abilities off of these Pokemon using the best teams, and static is sadly very much event exclusive. As for Zapdos' item, it'll be holding the leftover, so it can constantly be refilling its HP after every turn. The longer Zapdos can be in battle, the better things will go for you. Zapdos' moveset offensively is pretty much the same as Manectric. It'll be using Discharge and Volt Switch, but also Defog and Roost. Discharge holds the same importance here as it did on Manectric, choosing to focus solely on causing paralysis and dealing a decent amount of damage instead of hitting it as hard as possible, as would be the case if Thunderbolt was here in its place. Volt Switch is part of the plan to make it possible to switch around the team at will while still doing damage, and in Zapdos' case, it would probably be best to pull pull it out when dealing with a strong rock type that would look to take advantage of Zapdos' flying type. As mentioned before, Volt Switch is going to be doing 105 base power thanks to Stab, so it'll have a solid parting shot against most rock type Pokemon. Coming after those two moves is Defog, which is here to get rid of all the hazards the opponent is trying to set up. If there are spikes in the field, toxic spikes or otherwise, Zapdos will be able to get rid of them. Should someone try setting up Stealth Rocks, those can be handled too. As a matter of fact, you could even Volt Switch out of another Pokemon in the Zapdos if everything has already been set up, and use it to ruin all that hard work your opponent just did to set up against you. Finally, there is Roost, which is tandem with the leftovers, which will constantly help keep Zapdos healthy and viable in battle. After you use Roost, you're even going to take neutral damage from the ice and rock types you might be up against, though you're going right back to having super effective damage done to you by ground types. Following up Zapdos on the team is Rotom-Wash, who in my opinion was the best fit for this team. A lot of people like Rotom Heat better, but honestly its position on this team wouldn't be all that useful. Now with Rotom-Wash, we got a strong water type option as well as a better defensive Pokemon. In general, Rotom-Wash is potentially the best of the Rotom appliances, but any Rotom can probably be taken onto a team like this and made to work. Either way, we're going to be bumping its speed and special attack stats to 252 EVs in both. That'll give it 309 in special attack, and after applying the Tibinature, a cool 298 in speed. Rotom-Wash has the Levitate ability, which is fantastic for an electric type Pokemon, taking away its biggest weakness. It's only got to worry about grass types at this point, and the Freeze Dry move, as those will still hit for super effective damage. Since we give the leftovers to Zapdos already, Rotom will take advantage of the Wiki Berry in order to gain half of its HP back, after it falls beneath the quarter of the max. It'd be nicer to have leftovers, but since we can't double up items, this is how it's going to work. The moveset I've got picked up for Rotom-Wash features Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, Will-O-Wisp, and Confuse Ray. Hydro Pump is the best water move we could give it to Rotom-Wash, since Scald isn't a move it has access to, and its 110 base power is much appreciated on this special attacking washing machine. With Stab, its base power goes up to 165, but its accuracy is less than an ideal 80%. It'll have to be something we look past, however, as sending out this Rotom without a Stab water move is just a silly mistake I won't be making. Following that is another instance of Volt Switch, part of our plan to be able to switch out and do damage as opposed to switching out to just take hits. Grass type Pokemon are the only real threat to Rotom, and Volt Switch should be really only be used to switch into Pokemon that resist grass. Aside from that, it's another 105 base power move from Stab that could be used against many Pokemon. Just know that it's going to result in switching out. However, if you don't want to constantly be switching out to do damage and don't want to put all your faith into Hydro Pump turn after turn, there is Will-O-Wisp that will burn the opposing Pokemon. A burn will of course lower the opposing Pokemon's attack stat, as well as do damage to them after every turn ends. With that chip away damage, you can annoy the opponent further and possibly cause more damage by hitting them with Confuse Ray. The combination of being confused and burned could frustrate many opponents and cause them to depart from the traditional strategies. Rotom has the potential to be the most annoying Pokemon on this team, and having at least one of those always bodes well for you in a battle. Another last moveset I could recommend is Pain Split. Pain Split is also another great option for Rotom, as you can actually gain back HP and take away from your opponents, so that's also another option if you want to go that route. We're going to continue on Rotom-Wash with a genie ripped right from Generation 5, the legendary master of electricity, Thundurus. It's going to be in its Therian form this time around, and I was very excited to include it on the team. As you've noticed, we've featured Discharge a few times on the team thus far, and Thundurus is the ultimate Pokemon to take advantage of it in a dull battle. Thundurus has got the ability Volt Absorb, and heals a quarter of its max HP when it gets hit with an electric type move, which of course it would get hit in a double battle should anything on the field use Discharge. Equipped with an absolutely stellar ability in its Therian form, Thundurus packs a whopping base 145 in special attack that primes it to be the team's strongest Pokemon. The defenses on Thundurus in his form are actually worse than Mega Manectric's, so this also falls into the glass cannon category of Pokemon. The only reason Mega Manectric is really better is because it has 100 full points on Thundurus' speed, even after I give 252 EVs to both speed and special attack. Thundurus' speed goes to a respectable 301, but its special attack exceeds even Manectric's at a staggering 427, following added power given by the modest nature. With such a tremendous power behind it, Thundurus can easily be the powerhouse complementing Manectric either prior to it entering the battle or afterward. Thundurus is going to be a Pokemon that you're going to have the opportunity to set up to make even stronger. Can you believe that? This is your sweep option, and its moveset is Agility, Nasty Plot, Hidden Power Ice, and Thunderbolt. Agility is the first move up, and using it once will definitely help Thundurus outspeed just about anything. Not many other Pokemon that aren't set up themselves are going to be able to match up against a 602 speed stat very well. So after just using one of those, you're already outspeeding just about anything else. The next turn you'll have the opportunity to use Nasty Plot if you wish, but it will of course be at risk. You're still not taking too many hits happily, but a Nasty Plot will put Thundurus' special attack over 850, which will pretty much allow it to KO anything. Nothing is a guarantee of course, but such insanely high stats being achievable in exchange for 2 turns is quite the reward for such a risk. Hidden Power Grass is the next move, an important one for Thundurus. Ground types are something it needs help against due to electric type moves not affecting them, so Hidden Power Grass offers the type of coverage necessary. However, it's not just ground types it'll be useful against, as rock types pose a threat to Thundurus as well. The only only typing that does super effective damage with Thundurus that it doesn't have any super effective attacks to deal with is an Ice type. But with its final move Thunderbolt, it will still do massive damage anyway. Thunderbolt's base power is boosted up to 135 of stab and a 10% chance to paralyze. Though, don't think things stop here, because if you've noticed, I never mentioned an item for Thundurus. The one it's going to be holding is the Electrium Z, which will turn Thunderbolt into the base 175 move Gigavolt Havoc. No Pokemon will survive such a move, and it really gives Thundurus that panic button that should allow it to clear the field of anything that might stand in its way. Let's take another step back in the Generation 4, next with the evolution of Magneton, Magnezone. Magnezone is a pretty great Pokemon, boasting yet another very high special attack stat, and a pretty solid defense stat, thanks in part to that Steel typing. I actually toyed around with the idea of putting Eviolite Magneton on this team, but decided against at the end of the day, since it would be so hard to pass up on using a Pokemon like Magnezone here. Magnezone's great special attack is a base 130, putting it right up there with Thundurus and Manectric as one of the hardest hitting special attackers on this team I'm featuring today. We've got to improve the speed stat though, which is a horrid 60 base. First off, I'm putting 252 EVs into special attack and speed and giving it the Intimidator, bringing the stats up to 359 and 240. However, 240 just isn't going to be enough. So we're also giving Magnezone the Toy Scarf to speed up even more. In exchange for being locked into whatever move it chooses for the rest of the time it spends in battle, Magnezone is going to have 360 speed, which will help it outspeed many other Pokemon. Plus, even if Magnezone is in a situation where it doesn't outspeed the opponent, it's got the Sturdy ability that allows it to survive a move that would otherwise KO it from full HP. Magnezone has a very familiar moveset, that being Discharge, Volt Switch, Hidden Power Ice, and Flash Cannon. Discharge has been spoken about enough in this video so far, so I'll just say it's another case of being a better move to use than Thunderbolt. Volt Switch is a part of the plan of switching around, and when using a Fire type or Ground type, switching in the Zapdos might be a good idea. Hidden Power Ice is here for the Ground types, as one would expect. Finally, there is Flash Cannon, the all-important coverage against Fairy types. Flash Cannon goes from 80 base power to 120 after stab, and has a 10% chance to lower the opponent's special defense by a stage. Fairy types will not appreciate taking one of these, no doubts about it. It can also come in handy should Rotom-Wash or Zapdos feel the need to Volt Switch out against Ice type, since they'll have super effective damage against them as well. Finally, we're wrapping up this team with the Pokemon that adorns the cover of Pokemon White version, Zekrom. The legendary dragon is one of the best physical attacking electric types out there, and after crafting a team of solid attackers, I knew that including Zekrom would be incredibly important. Truth be told, I could have even made Zekrom a special attacker as well, as it has great 120 base there, but I would be hard pressed to not take advantage of the base 150 attack. That's right, it has the single highest attack on this team, special or physical. Zekrom is going to be the token nuke Pokemon on this team, slamming into anything it comes up against with Reckless, abandoned in a way that most Pokemon can't handle. The 252 EVs are going to be in speed and attack, and it'll be Jelly Nature, so it can bring up the speed even more. Zekrom's attack will be sitting at 399, and its speed at 306. I know what you might be saying right now though. Mystic, what are you doing? Why would you not bump up the attack of Zekrom even more? Well, that's because Zekrom is going to be rocking out with the Choice Band. It's going to lock into whatever move it's using, but bring the attack stat right below 600. Hitting like a truck while having a little bit of speed is the name of Zekrom's game, and it will for sure be an important part of this team. Zekrom's moves are befitting of a powerhouse, offering coverage against several other typings that the rest of the team might have problems with. The moves are Bolt Strike, Outrage, Steel Wing, and Fusion Bolt. Bolt Strike is a signature move for Zekrom, so including it made a lot of sense. With a 130 base power that gets boosted to 195 from stab and offers a 20% chance to paralyze, even at 85% accuracy, you can sign me right up. Though if you're looking for an option with better accuracy, there is the 100% accurate base 100 power move, Fusion Bolt. It's going to hit for 150 after stab and is yet another signature move of Zekrom. Right off the bat, you have two extremely powerful electric type moves that will give you options depending on which is right at the moment. Remember, they're both made even more powerful by the Choice Band. After that, there is Outrage, a dragon move that finds itself at 120 base power and 180 after stab. Outrage is a move that you'll be locked into for a few turns as it finally ends with you falling in confusion. So it's really just for you when you're up against other dragon types that you need to defeat. The last move, it might be a little bit of a head scratcher for most of you watching this video right now, but trust me, I will tell ya. Steel Wing was the best option I could give Zekrom in the end. Much like Thundurus, Zekrom is a real swooping threat, and with Steel Wing it gets a move that lets it plow through Fairy type Pokemon, as well giving it an opportunity to make itself more defensive. Steel Wing is only base 70 in power with 90% accuracy, but has a 10% chance to boost Zekrom's defense by a stage, which can pay dividends during its time out in the battlefield. This last move, if you want, you can of course make whatever you really feel comfortable with, but I found that it was a good idea to have something that was able to hit Fairy type Pokemon for super effective damage. Just like that, another best team is in the books. This one was interesting to come up with, as I was able to put together the Volt Switch strategy, as well as have access to some very strong Pokemon, and some of my favorite electro types as well. As always, I want to hear from you guys. Please let me know what you guys think about this team in the comments. If you use it, let me know how it goes. Would you guys do anything differently, and is there any Pokemon you'd rather see on the team that wasn't included? Let me know everything down below. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weezosted, and Sudden Grider did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrand, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.